Okay, how's everyone tonight? Welcome to the Oromocto Lincoln Fredericton broadcast live here online at YouTube, also at Facebook, and you can contact me, jody.carr@gnb.ca as well. It's such a pleasure that we're doing this. We're going to give it a go, trying to be open and accessible to the Oromocto Lincoln Fredericton constituency, live with your MLA via YouTube and Google+. Also for those on Facebook. How's everyone tonight? Welcome to the Oromocto Lincoln Fredericton. Already got to shut that off. Broadcast live here online. All right, small technical difficulty. Also at Facebook. And you can contact me, jody.carr@gnb.ca as well. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Well, that's good to know that it's broadcasting live out on YouTube. So we will certainly want to start the conversation. People that want to participate to, again, post on Facebook, any questions or comments. We have gotten some earlier comments as well from people that posted prior to the time slot here. As you know, it's a new constituency, Oromocto Lincoln Fredericton, with the new election in September 22nd, taking in all of the town of Oromocto, as well as the local service district of Lincoln. Takes in Lincoln Heights, which is in the city of Fredericton, Southwood Park, Forest Hills, right to the 700 Forest Hills Towers on Forest Hill Road in Fredericton. So let me just check here, and certainly want to thank the comment back already regarding the backdrop here. It's the overlay of the legislative building that we'll see here over my shoulder. And I do want to mention that we had a first email that came in and at the local service district, and the question was, how do we go about forming a walk-in health clinic in Lincoln? And very good question, Stan Barrett. I appreciate that. And really, it takes the effort from the local community. So often you'll have communities that will put forward a recruitment effort. By and large, it starts with having a doctor who's interested. And from there, the doctor and the group would approach the regional health authority to get a billing number and the province of New Brunswick. Often the doctor can run a family practice and do some after hours as well. If there are doctors that are interested, certainly a walk-in clinic is nice to have. We have a number of walk-in clinics in the Fredericton region and throughout New Brunswick. But however, that is a temporary solution. Obviously wanting more family doctors, collaborative health clinic of that nature that we're hoping will open soon in Oromocto has been delayed because of construction, but we are hopeful that an alternative locations and arrangements will be made to allow for the clinic to open, the collaborative health clinic in Oromocto. So I'll continue to monitor the Facebook page as well, and over onto the YouTube page. We certainly can take any comments online, and people that would have any type of questions or concerns regarding the constituency of Oromocto Lincoln Fredericton, and really for that matter, any other issue that we're facing in our province. I did have a comment that came in as well on the Facebook page, and it's regarding snow plowing. Snow plowing in Lincoln Park Gardens. It has been done with a private contractor. And the best advice I can provide is for people to put forward their concerns to the district engineer at the regional office in Fredericton. And there we would suggest that you contact the Department of Transportation and to ensure that your complaint is lodged and that can be passed along to the people in Fredericton, to the Minister of Transportation. The Fredericton regional number is 453-2144. And that would give you a chance to make sure that the message is put forward to the Department of Transportation. As I said, we've had a lot of concerns expressed by the public regarding the snow plowing. By and large, we have to drive slowly and make sure that we're paying attention to the conditions. But when we pay for this service, we also want to make sure that we're getting the service that we're paying for. So quite a few comments came up as well throughout the Miramichi area, as well as up on the highway going towards Edmundston as well. So those concerns continue to be expressed. I know Jake Stewart in the Miramichi area, he and Doketown was having quite a bit of concerns regarding the snow plowing that came forward with the result of the snowstorm that we just had. So anyways, those were two issues that we had already that was brought forward. Let's see. This is, by chance, if you're not aware, probably the first time in New Brunswick that a member of the legislature has used online means to connect with constituents. It's an opportunity to participate, to listen, for me to listen, to hear from you directly your concerns. And it's a chance for a bit of a dialogue. It's a chance to reach out to people in your home rather than go forward with a public meeting, which often is very difficult to get people to come out and to participate. We have a concern that's brought forward, and I will read this. Why did the government choose to contract the services for the roads, such as snow clearing? When the roads were done by the civil servants, it was done to a higher standard. So certainly that has been a concern that's been brought forward. Lincoln Parkside Gardens is done by private contract. And in the past, that has been done by the government Department of Transportation. And I think that is certainly a concern that's been expressed. We want to make sure that the accountability is in place to the government that's responsible to make sure that the services are provided. So again, we contact I would encourage everyone to contact myself, jody.carr@gmb.ca, or feel free, and I encourage you to contact the district office because that is where the civil service is, and the phone number there is 453-2611. I had a number earlier that was the incorrect number. It's 453-2611. And again, I appreciate the feedback by our viewers that are already paying close attention to what's being said and our feedback that we're getting from you. This is quite exciting to have this from time to time. I will have special guests come in if this is successful. People seem to want this type of participation coming in from the constituents. Then we will try to do this again, and I will have from time to time guests that we'll connect to periodically, maybe for a few minutes, have them come join us on the air. And then we'll have a chance to chat with them as well. You know, often people will say that they haven't heard from their politicians only at election time. And so this is something that I'm trying to connect with the people of Ormocto, Lincoln, Fredericton that may not otherwise want to go to a public meeting, but maybe want to participate live here online while we're watching here from the comfort of your home and the comfort of your living room. And I think that would be pretty exciting if we continue to have feedback, and also some of you that has this type of information. And we got another comment back regarding the contract, the private contract for snow plowing, and it allows for up to 3 inches of ice on the road. I think it would be a good idea for the residents in that community if I could certainly ask on behalf of the residents for the contract, what is in this contract, a certain amount of snow and ice built up before it must be plowed. I know it being a side subdivision road, there are different standards than on the main roads or the collector highways. So we would have to look at the classification of the road. The local service district as well works very closely with the residents in Lincoln. I know with street lighting that the residents have paid for, the local service district has helped to ensure that the basic services are also provided. So that's very much appreciated. I know the local service district met just recently for their monthly meeting, November the 25th. I wasn't able to attend due to other commitments, but I am looking forward to meeting with the local service district very soon, probably at their next meeting, so that I can hear the feedback from the local service district on issues of provincial responsibility and provincial issues. We have also received a comment, a question regarding the, just a second here, regarding the unsightly premise. Let me see, let me pull this up. Yes, what is the government doing about the disposed portables next to the Lincoln School? They've been sitting there for quite some time. So on that issue regarding the portables next to the Lincoln School was built and constructed over the last 4 years. The government had invested $400 million in new schools around the province. Lincoln Elementary Community School was one of them. And through that, when the school was demolished, there were portables and links that the contractor had purchased. So the private contractor had purchased these portables and mobiles. They were placed on private property near the school, 2 properties down, and they do not belong to the government. In fact, they belong to a private contractor, and that contractor had received permission to place those portables on private property. What I have done, it was brought to my attention during the election as well, and I've since followed up to the Department of Environment and Local Government under the Unsightly Premise Act. In the Unsightly Premise Act, it states of structures and buildings that are hazardous and safety to the public within 150 meters of the road fall within the jurisdiction of the Unsightly Premise Act. And I sent that to the Regional Director of Environment and Local Government recently in the last couple of weeks. And they have said they'd open a file and follow this up to take a look. I believe that it contravenes the Unsightly Premise Act, where it is a hazardous, it is a structure, a building structure that has been left. And I know there are people congregating or staying in that structure, and it's becoming quite a danger. So we have, as I said, followed up on that, and I'll continue to follow it closely. I know it really looks terrible, and what bothers me is that people think it is the government that's just left it there when they built a new school, and that's certainly not the case. So that's good, and thank you. I want to have a special shout out to Glenn Sullivan from Susan Drive, who's provided questions and feedback on the snow plowing. And earlier that question was provided to me by someone else as well. So that's quite exciting. I appreciate that. And again, we're trying something new, something that's never been done in New Brunswick, looking to engage the constituents of Oromocto, Lincoln, and Fredericton. From time to time, I will, as I said, if there's enough interest in doing this, we will have special guests that come on periodically to provide some feedback, maybe provide some input, maybe give their perspective on politics in New Brunswick. And just checking our my BlackBerry here to see if there are any questions that are coming in this way. Oh, yes, there is. Maybe a controversial question. Well, this is very interesting. We have a question. How would you say that communications technology has changed since the time you participated in the experiment with Don Lenihan's group in the early 2000s? A very good question. Don Lenihan's group was called Crossing Boundaries, and Don Lenihan out of the Toronto area. And in the early 2000s, mid-2000s, I participated in this project called Crossing Boundaries, bringing government, community, and politicians together to make public policy, but using technology to try to cross those boundaries in order to make better public policy. I was actually the first MLA in New Brunswick that had my own website back in the early 2000s. It seems kind of funny now. Also, I was the MLA that wrote to the Speaker of the House to allow us to use communication devices in the Legislative Assembly. I thought it was pretty outdated that we were not allowed to use laptops at the time. We didn't really have iPhones then. I'm really dating myself at 39 years old. I feel sometimes dated here now. But we weren't allowed to use laptops at all in the legislature until we put forward the request to the Speaker of the House to have it considered at the Legislative Administration Committee. I think we've changed a lot, though, in the last few years in particular, just on terms of Twitter, on Facebook. Everything is very instant. And now being able to broadcast live by YouTube to connect with constituents. I think it's important that we are accessible to our constituents. At the same time, that does force some sort of getting out there in front of the public. And very often, politicians are subject to some negativity on Facebook and Twitter. But as well, at the same time, people can be very negative to each other in these forums. And we're trying to promote positive environments for children to learn to get along, to respect each other. And that's what we try to do as well, as much as possible to set that example. And I think, though, it is important to be available and to be accessible and approachable. And mediums like this, I think, will be continued to be used to make sure that we are hearing from the people in different ways. So this is kind of interesting how we've talked this week. Last week, actually, I've attended a conference on open government and open data here in Fredericton. Very good conference. But something that we've been working on for quite a long time is how can we collaborate more? How can we work more with the public? How can we ensure that there's dialogue before decisions are made? We have some great examples in New Brunswick of collaborative decision-making, some more recent here in the last few years, and some before that. We've also had some very bad examples of collaboration, of not having the full information provided to constituents and the public before a decision is made. Sometimes the collaboration occurs, but doesn't occur enough. And in this Anglophone West School District with the new report cards, there were quite a number of surveys and input that was provided on this new report card. But as of late, having received the report card for the first time, many parents had not heard about this, and there's still many questions. The biggest thing on public policy and government, in my belief, is that people remain open to hear the concerns in government, elected and civil service, but also the public is reasonable and make sure their voice is heard. And your voice can be heard in a number of different ways, whether it's through email, whether through phone call, or in-person meetings. It's important that we take the time to listen to each other, to gather feedback, and to understand. And from there, make an informed, hopefully an informed decision on an issue going forward. It's something that actually I'm quite fascinated by, is the process of public policy and making sure that all aspects of public policy is working together to make sure that the best policy is brought forward for the public, and that's very challenging at times. So we'll just keep seeing here if there's any other feedback. I appreciate the question on the technology question, and going back quite a number of years on public policy, crossing boundaries. Working on crossing boundaries actually was with Andy Scott. Andy Scott believed in collaborating with the public. He had, at the time, was very much became known for public forums, people's forums, and have the tables and people gather around these tables to talk about public policy issues. And certainly at that time, and those many years ago, there were no iPads and iPhones. And in that regard, again, the technology has advanced, so let's use the technology to hear people's voices. And this is just a start of putting this together to hear from people in this way. And maybe there are other opportunities in the future of how we can expand upon this, or how we can do issue-specific topics. We can also involve more people on the video as guests, and that could be something we do. Potentially one show, maybe if we want to keep doing this, I could have the Mayor of Warmuckto on. Maybe another time I'll have the local service district chairperson, Stan Barrett from Lincoln, or maybe someone from City Transit to talk about the bus service, as an example. So potentially there could be some thought around that as well. Another issue that has come up, let me just pull that up here, regarding the Solid Waste Commission. And I'll just pull up that concern regarding the odor on the Solid Waste Commission. Anyway, as you all know, in Lincoln Heights and in the Richmond Estates area, the odor that comes from the solid waste grounds is at many times deplorable and very hard to adjust to. And someone had contacted here saying that what is it that the government can do? There's been some things done in the past to try to eliminate the problem. Unfortunately, it is still an issue, and there are many days when the odor is quite unbearable. I realize that the Solid Waste Commission may not be a provincial jurisdiction, however, the environment is. Do you know if the landfill is working on any initiatives to find a permanent solution to this problem? Do you know if the Department of Environment is putting any pressures on the landfill on this issue? Well, that's a very good question that's come forward from a constituent in Lincoln, Lincoln Heights. I appreciate that. And what I would say is that it is on my list to follow up with the Solid Waste Commission to find out what they are doing, what has been done in the past, and what is, if this is still being looked at, to consider some further changes into the future. The certainly another suggestion that was mentioned was property tax, and perhaps through the assessment office and through your property tax bills, people have tried potentially to have their taxes lowered. Although it's a double-edged sword, I know, but in the short term, having your taxes lowered due to the impact of the odor could certainly be a savings for the residents. But I am going to follow up on that, and we'll keep up to date on that issue. And if I do this again in future, a future opportunity, we'll provide an update on what we've heard, what I've heard back from the government on that issue. Just want to thank you as well very much for the question. People have decided to email me directly on Facebook as one avenue to connect. That I appreciate. And also people have emailed directly that do not want to be involved or make any statements on the broadcast here on YouTube. So so that's good too. That's hopefully we spur this on. We only have a few minutes remaining in this section. of outreach. I decided to start off with a 30-minute show between 7:30 and 8 tonight, December 1st, and to try this out, to give it a try. I'd be happy to hear your feedback if you've been able to catch it as well. If you can't catch it live, then it will be posted on YouTube and online to watch later. And people can certainly watch it at another time if they've missed it live. And I would look forward to your feedback in return to hear if you think this is worthwhile. Of course, it's not a perfect shot. It does have its drawbacks, and it's not a professional broadcasting station, but it is, I think, something worth continuing to look at and to pursue. We're opening up the legislature, the government, on December the 3rd. That's Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to coming to my 16th legislative session in Fredericton, and we'll have the speech from the throne from the new government. We'll keep an eye on the government. Since the election, we've had the by-election that the Progressive Conservatives have won in St. John, back for Glenn Savoy. We have Bruce Fitch, who's our interim leader with the Progressive Conservative Party, who's doing an excellent job already raising questions. And we've also seen a number of issues that the government has done certainly some damage in the reputation of our province on shale gas, natural resource development, not having a clear position. So shouldn't be a surprise, as that's how the election unfolded as well. But since then, the Minister of Energy has been inconsistent. The Premier has been at odds with the Minister of Energy. So I expect that there will be some questions in the legislature. Also, the firing of Reno Volpe at the Vitalite Health Region, who had exceeded all targets of managing better at the health region. The board has had many concerns about why and how the Reno Volpe was fired by the new Liberal government, and I would expect there would be some concerns on that. The abortion issue will no doubt be an issue for many people. An issue of this seriousness should be, if there are changes, should be made to the through a debate at the Legislative Assembly. And so we will no doubt hear more about that issue in the Legislative Assembly. And I want to have a special hello to Doreen Paulin and Terry, who've made a comment here that they're watching from Arizona, constituents in Oromocto West that are watching live from Arizona. So that's pretty exciting that we can connect here in Oromocto, Lincoln, and Fredericton. You're a member of the legislature, the first in New Brunswick to have a live one-on-one chat with constituents about your issues in real time, and that's broadcast worldwide on YouTube and Google+, and as well through connections at Facebook. So that is just about concluding our time. And as I said, we will continue reaching out, doing things differently, and being innovative and accessible and approachable. And I encourage you to contact me in all of these mediums if you have questions or concerns. We do have our constituency office opened in Lincoln, and that's been moved to be more central to the new riding. And it's at 2398 Lincoln Road at the old Star Choice building. And so I encourage you as well to have a safe and happy Merry Christmas, and certainly feel free to stay tuned on the opportunities of having live with your MLA time so that we can share ideas, hear what's going on, and continue to do a good job for the people of Oromocto, Lincoln, and Fredericton. And I hope that it's been somewhat worthwhile. And I also want to mention the excellent news of having the special care home announcement in Oromocto that we've worked very hard to ensure goes forward, working closely with Mayor Bob Powell in Oromocto and seeing that services for seniors are improved. We're going to continue to work very strongly with all of our partners, and looking forward to the Legislative Assembly with my colleagues, and continue to encourage the government if they're on the right track, but certainly point them back on track if we feel they're getting off sideways, And there have been a few issues already where they've gone sideways that we'll expect to make some influence on coming back. We want to certainly be a responsible and prudent opposition with great experience that we feel love to make our province better. And when we work together, we can make some great things happen. So we're hoping that we'll be productive in the weeks ahead. So again, thank you very much. Looking forward to continuing our discussion potentially next time. And thank you to everyone who put forward your questions and your concerns. It's a pleasure, and thank you for sharing this time, a historic time, with me, your member of the legislature for Mukto, Lincoln, and Fredericton.